Welcome to my part 2 review of Ready Player One. Now in this section of the review, I'm going to go through the movie and I'm going to give an overall plot and I'm going to tell you what things they changed from the book when they made the movie. I want to start by saying I really like this movie. Giving it a rating, I would give it a rating of 4 out of 5. Now, with this said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, for the movie, there will be spoilers ahead. So if you would like to watch this movie without being spoiled on what's going to happen, and hopefully you haven't listened to the first part or watched the first video, then please stop the video here, go watch the movie, come back, and I'll tell you my thoughts. Alright, so for all of you who did not stop the video to go watch the movie, or those of you who are coming back, welcome back. Thank you for checking out this video. So, Ready Player One, the movie. It was a pretty good adaptation. There were many changes made from the movie. There were many changes made from the book when it was turned into a movie. So the movie begins with us getting a watered down version of the narration from Wade Watts, also known as Percival. We also get a also watered down version of James Halliday's will. This is important because a lot of stuff that was said is left out. It's not all super important. You basically get the same overall idea, but a lot of the nostalgia is taken out of it. And I don't know if it was just due to the fact that they couldn't get the rights to some of these movies and things that were referenced, but moving on. So the movie basically begins with Wade entering a race. Now, if you remember, I said when the book begins, it begins with him still basically underage, going to high school online through the Oasis. Well, after we're introduced to the Oasis here, Wade is already basically an adult, it seems, and he is looking for the first key. In fact, in this version, everybody knows where the first key is. It's at the end of this racetrack that is unbeatable. The reason it's unbeatable is because nobody can get past King Kong. He also crosses paths with Artemis at this point, which happens way earlier in the movie than it did in the book. And he spends probably the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie trying to figure out a way to get past King Kong. He does have his iconic car, the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and it does have the Knight Rider light on it, but this version of the DeLorean is missing the Ghostbusters logo, which in the book he had on his doors. It's not present in the movie. There is a scene after that where he goes to James Halliday's journal, which is basically a giant museum, and he overhears extra dialogue at this one exhibit where James Halliday, as a younger man, talks to his friend and says, "Why can't we go backwards? Bill and Ted did it." But I wouldn't necessarily call time traveling going backwards. And maybe it's the fact they already used the DeLorean, but I would think that if anybody was more referenced to go back, it would have been Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. Again, they were already using the Back to the Future car, so I don't understand, maybe just because they had that already, they wanted something different and to reference another movie. But it seemed like Back to the Future would have been a much better idea to go with here. And just a personal side note, if they ever do anything further for Back to the Future, I'm putting this out there now, that is one thing I would actually love to see. The time machine going backwards to go back in time. Like somebody's chasing them and they're zipping backwards and they actually hit 88 miles an hour while the time circuits are active and it actually sends them back in time. So that would be a really interesting idea. But moving on, back to Ready Player One. So he finally figures out he has to go on the racetrack going backwards, which actually works out and takes him to a secret underground track, which gives him a straight path to the finish line, averting King Kong altogether. Now, this was interesting. Cinematically, it was nice. But I still like the original way he found the first key, because it would have been more like an Indiana Jones type deal, where he's going through the D&D, the Tomb of Horrors, and he has to play Joust, a video game, against the Lich King. I just think that would have been very interesting, and it was very comedical when you're picturing it in your head, but I get that they were trying to go bigger and more cinematic. So basically, Percival finds the key. He gets the clue, and he tells his friend. Now, in this version of the movie, the group is called the High Five. And they were called the High Five in the book, but in the book, they did not know each other. Except for Percival and H, the main characters did not know each other. In fact, Daito and Shoto, which I believe have different names in the movie. In fact, I believe Shoto is just called Sho. They're already friends with H, kinda, because they're the next ones to find the key, and Artemis basically figures out, because she kind of saw what Percival did, so she also got the key. So that's how they become the High Five. Now, in the book, again, this is very different. Daito and Shoto figure it out because they basically hear about it in a chat online from somebody who says that they know Percival goes to that school. And the person they're talking about is a character named Irock. Artemis, she catches Percival in the act, basically, of getting the key. I mean, he basically just got it and was about to leave when she showed up. So, and he actually did tell his friend H, but H was able to keep it a secret in the book. Now, I brought up Irock for a reason, and I didn't bring him up in the original, in the first part, because of the fact I wanted to talk about his character here. In the book, he is a very minor character that just basically sets the events of the world finding out that the first key is located on the school with the planet. In the movie, however, he is kind of like a bounty hunter antagonist that is working for the bad guy, the head of IOI. If you want to know who IOI is and you haven't watched the first video, please stop this video. Go check out that first video. I break down a lot of the first things you'll need to know for this world in that. But moving on. So the head of IOI, he wants the keys. And he tries to talk to Percival and say, hey, we're going to offer you this for the keys if you just help us. And Percival basically was like, no, F off. I'm going to do this on my own, and I'm going to take over the Oasis, and you guys aren't going to get crap. Which, basically, the whole meeting is exactly like it is in the book. It plays out exactly pretty much the same. That's one part in the book they actually did keep true to in the movie. The next thing that happens is Percival's home gets destroyed in a bomb. And again, this plays just like the movie. Only instead of what happens in the book, in this, Percival, or Wade, in the real world, gets kidnapped by this rebellious group. Rebels. Think Star Wars. So he gets kidnapped, and he meets Artemis in real life. Now, in the book, Artemis and Wade did not meet in the real world until the very end of the book. Literally, that is part of his whole ambition, is to meet her face to face in the real world because he's so in love with her. But here it happens like halfway through. So the entire group ends up getting the Jade Key, and IOI is closing in. They get the Jade Key. Now, in the book, it was through a recreation of Zork, and everybody basically did it on their own. Artemis and H were one of the first two. Artemis didn't, at this point in the book, had broken off contact with Percival, and H only gave him a clue because of the fact he felt he owed it to Percival. In this, they all kind of just tell each other things just so they can beat IOI. Again, in the book, they are more against helping each other out because the idea of coming together as a group feels like cheating to them. It feels like it goes against the idea of what the contest is supposed to be. And in the movie, they just want to beat IOI to the key. Ultimately, that is their goal. That is the drive that pushes them to work together in the book. Is that, look, we can either work together or we can let IOI beat us. But also in the book, once they have the third key, they realize you cannot get through the final gate alone. You have to work together. And nobody knows why James Halliday did that, but it's speculated because he wanted the world to have an audience. Well, it's at this point IOI finally locates Wade and Artemis and in the real world, and they capture Artemis and bring her in. I guess you could say it's kind of like they probably kidnapped her, because I don't know if she actually has outstanding debt. We never really get that side of the story, which in the book we do get that whole setup that they have a work-off program and that he purposely made himself go into debt with IOI so he could get brought into IOI headquarters. But yeah, so he gets captured and she's just put to work. I'm really surprised, being the fact that that's one part of the movie that really doesn't make sense for me, because it's like, okay, they went there to capture her. They've already tried to kill Wade, and they're not going to kill her right away, or they're going to just, not try to get information out of her, torture her. They're just going to put her to work in the Oasis right near the final gate. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But anyways, so Wade, at this point, he's all pissed off in the movie, and he gathers everyone in the Oasis together on the planet known as Planet Doom, which is the same, I believe, in the book, where the final gate is. Everybody in the Oasis has been told, or at least as I think everyone in the Oasis was told, but I know the main characters for sure definitely have all the keys. Now, the big battle is kind of the same. However, in the movie, I will say this is one part that was a lot stronger, is they had a lot of nostalgic references. A lot of video game references. One of my most favorite references, when Wade is out of ammo and people are tossing him random weapons, one of the characters, I believe it was H or Shoto, throws him a weapon and it's Chucky. That just blew my mind. I'm like, that scene alone was worth the price of admission. You got me in the seat just because of that. And to see Chucky thrown her out of the DeLorean, then ninja around, killing a bunch of IOI stormtroopers, basically, that was priceless. I mean, we will never see Chucky do that in any of his own movies, but it was priceless to see. And I just got off on all the little things. That's why, even though it's not a faithful adaptation, it still was a good movie. In fact, this is such a good movie for me. This is my Easter holiday movie. When I pick a movie to watch on Easter, because I love to watch holiday movies close to the holidays, I dedicate an entire month of October to horror movies for Halloween. I dedicate the entire month of December to Christmas movies. I won't watch anything else but Christmas movies and TV shows throughout December. My book series, The Guardian of Light, also is a holiday themed kinda for Christmas. So I really focus a lot on my writing for that series during December. That's when I get all my best ideas. Actually, the last week, right after Thanksgiving to the beginning of December, I like to watch what I call almost Christmas movies. Things like Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, While You Were Sleeping, Shazam now has made that list. So I didn't really have a lot of movies that I liked that were Easter based. So Ready Player One is my Easter movie, because the entire point is that they are looking for an Easter egg. So, in case anybody didn't get that. So they make it to the last gate, and right before the end, there's a big fight with the big boss, Sorrento from IOI, and he can't handle that he's about to lose. So he detonates this bomb, which blows everybody up, just like in the book. And everybody died except for Percival, again. Only in this version, Percival was given a quarter by the caretaker of the James Halliday Journals Museum, because he answered a question right. As I said before, in the original, in the book, he got it for completing a game of Pac-Man and getting a high score possible. So Percival goes through the gate, wins the entire time he's in there, winning, by the way. IOI is chasing them down, so he's having trouble getting the key into the lock of the gate and trying to sign a piece of paper, which I didn't like that whole bit just because it wasn't in the book at all, and it kind of didn't make any sense, really. I mean, they tried to spoon feed it in a little bit here and there, but it wasn't in the book. It wasn't made super clear why they were saying that, so it just didn't quite fit very well, and that's one of the problems I had with it. Yeah, everybody's dead except for Percival, so he gets complete control of the Oasis, and the movie ends with him saying that he decided that he's going to have the Oasis closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's like, that didn't make sense either, because that was going against the very spirit of the book. I mean, I get why they were saying it, because they were trying to say, you should get out there and live real life. But as many people have pointed out, what if people have to work every day of the week and they only get Tuesdays and Thursdays off? Then they don't get to enjoy the Oasis on their days off. They have to be forced to go out and live a life outside their favorite game. That's kind of a slap in the face to the people who are supporting this. But with that said, I don't really think we're ever going to get a Ready Player 2 movie. I'd be really shocked if we did. And I'm praying to God that the second book does not go based off this movie, because that would be really bad if it did. Because you got more people probably who aren't going to go watch the movie, but they have read the book and they want to read book 2. I mean, if book 2 gets turned into a movie, then they should continue the movie from where that movie left off. So yeah, that's basically it. I mean, in the book, he brought his friends back to life. He got the girl. I mean, he gets the girl in this one, but we don't know if he got God powers. We don't know if he brought his friends back. He just basically is in charge of the Oasis now, and he's ultra rich. So, that was the movie. And as I've said, I've made comparisons as it went on. There are ways this could have been done a little better, and it could have got a 5 out of 5. But it gets a 4 out of 5. Because the times where it deviates from the movie, it's so clear the only reason they're deviating is to push the story out faster. And I don't think they should have done that. Honestly, this is my fix. There's only one good fix for this. And that fix is simply this. It should have been a trilogy. It should have been Ready Player One, The Copper Key. Ready Player, The Jade Key. Ready Player One, The Final Gate. In which they could have chopped it up into, that one book could have been chopped up into 3 movies that did not have to be super long. They don't have to be no 2-hour movies. It could have been an hour and a half each. And being that there's going to be 3 of them, that would have given you actually probably an extra movie worth of time. So it would have been more like 2.5 films altogether of time. And basically it could have gone like this. Stick to the book. Once he gets past the first gate and he gets his clue, you end the first movie there. You pick up with, it's been a few months, he hasn't figured out, we see that he's been trying to develop a relationship with Artemis, and she finally is cutting him off because she can't take it. He finally gets his clue, he goes through to get the second key, then he goes through the second gate, but by the time he's done coming out the second gate, IOI already has the keys, they're already going through the gates, they are in the lead, everything is falling apart because they instantly get the crystal key, and he feels it's over. And that's where they could have ended the second movie. Then they could have picked up with him being taken in by IOI, him spending time in the IOI facility, how he breaks out of the IOI facility, getting to his friends, getting them the information that he stole, telling them, look, we need to get ready to go to war because they're going to find out how to get through that gate any minute. And the way they were held up in the book from solving the final gate was a lot better than the way they were held up in the movie. And I feel like in the movie it was very poorly done because once they start playing the game Adventure, it's like, okay, clearly this is the right answer. You clearly just need to figure out now how to get the right answer, which is to find the Easter egg, since it was the first video game to ever have an Easter egg, which pretty much every single person at the table should have known. But this one girl keeps telling him, it's adventure, it's adventure, it's adventure. And they're like, well, it's not this game, and it's not this game. Well, we tried adventure, and it failed. But adventure was the only one they actually were able to play through longer than 5 minutes. So they actually were able to play through the entire game at adventure, going past the 5-minute mark. It's like, okay, well, clearly there's a 5-minute timer, and you broke that because you were playing the right game. You just weren't playing it the right way. And I think any gamer who knew that was the game with the first Easter egg would have known, okay, this is what we need to do. And they would have listened to that girl. So that's why I said that one was weaker. In the book, it was actually, you had 3 keys, and you actually needed 3 keys to unlock the 3rd gate. You had to have 3 people to open the gate. James Halliday didn't want one person to open the gate. He wanted to make the last leg of the challenge a race. But that's how I would do the movie. I would do it as a trilogy. I would do it breaking it up into those 3 sections. And I would follow the book exactly. I think book adaptations, and you'll probably hear me say this every time, but I believe that when a book is turned into a movie, it should just be turned into a movie exactly as is. If it's too long, make multiple movies. That gives you multiple things to work with. You don't have to just shove it all into one movie. Harry Potter. It was actually a short enough book where it worked fine as a movie. They literally turned the first Harry Potter book into a movie. And I believe with Chamber of Secrets, it was the same thing. Everything that happened in the book happened basically in the movie. There was one thing, but I'll get into that if I ever do the Harry Potter movies. But that one thing kind of bugged me with Chamber of Secrets. For big Harry Potter fans, you know what I'm talking about. But other than that, no. Follow the books. That's all you have to do. You want to fix your movie? You want to do it right? You want to make more money? I mean, think about it. If you make 1 and it makes money, then 2 will make money. 3 will make money. You would have had 3 times the money. But that's my answer. That's my fix. I hope you enjoyed this. And I enjoyed telling you about one of my favorite movies and books. I enjoyed talking to you about it. If you have not seen the movie and you watch this anyways, well, still, it's worth a watch. I highly suggest it. And if you want a better experience, check out the book. Whether you like to read it or whether you want to hear the audiobook read by Wil Wheaton. Also, if you would like to, I have a book series out as well, The Guardian of Light. It makes the perfect holiday gift for any reader. So if you know somebody that likes fantasy books, or you yourself like fantasy books, please check out my series. I can't oversell this enough. I promise you, if you like fantasy, you're going to love my series. Please subscribe. Let's try to get that subscription count up. If you could, please subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out a lot. It would be the best Christmas gift I could get if I could get at least 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. I'm really hopeful that that will happen. So there will be no video tomorrow for Monday, but I will still put out a video on Friday. Here is a free digital code for a movie. If this code is already redeemed by somebody, please, again, subscribe to my channel. During the month of November and December, on random videos, I will be putting codes in those videos. Also, I put a code in a video after I've reached 10 subscribers. So, a lot more codes could go into videos. Before I go, I will just want to turn a phrase from Ready Player One and say to you, the viewer, thank you for watching my video. I want to thank you all for watching, and happy writing.